Welcome to the Liverpool Property Club Roundtable, guys. And this is hosted, of course, by Downtown in Business in our den and sponsored by Project 4. Liverpool Property Club this year was all about bringing the great people from across the sector together in social settings, as well as some roundtable live events that we had planned. And we had an array of talented individuals who are going to come and speak to us, ranging from Tony Reeves, the Chief Executive, and others within the City Council and the Combined Authority. Unfortunately, we've not been able to do that, but this is the next best thing. So Alan's going to kick us off in a moment, just tell us a bit of background to the Property Club, but then also in terms of Project 4, how he's been finding the world of work at the moment in the construction sector and how that sector has managed to continue to operate despite the restrictions that we find ourselves at the moment. Jessica Bowles, who'll be known to most of you on the call, I'm sure, is at Bruntwood, and Jess has the, I was going to say, the fortunate position of being able to give us an overview of what's happening across the country, not just in Liverpool, but clearly she has an interest in the city as well. I'm then going to ask Colin Sinclair to tell us about the exciting developments in the Knowledge Quarter, Sciontech, because again, despite those challenges that we're all aware of, there's some really positive things happening in that part of Liverpool, and we do want to keep the conversation upbeat today, guys. So we're not going to be talking about COVID and all the horrible things that are happening. We're going to look forward to the future with some optimism. And of course, Morgan Sindel, one of the key developers over at the Knowledge Quarter, and I'm delighted Barry's with us today. So Barry Roberts will be talking about their involvement in what's happening in the Knowledge Quarter. Tom Higgins, again, will be known to many of you, of course. Lang O'Rourke are the developer at both the hospital and also on the new stadium Everton development, which is in for planning in December. And then we're going to have a quick chat about the skills and training agenda, and Sue Patterson, who's, I'm not going to read out how many committees she serves on because we'd be here for the hour, but Sue is doing an awful lot of work on that, and she can tell us a little bit about Kickstart apprenticeships and that sort of stuff. So welcome to you all. Thanks for joining us. And Alan, do you want to start and, as I say, give us a little bit of history background about the Property Club and then move into what Project 4 have been up to over the last 9 months or so?
Certainly can. Morning, everyone. Good to see so many familiar faces. In fact, if we'd have known most of the guys on the call, we could have done the traditional Liverpool Property Club and had a few cans and a few glasses of beer in the office. So maybe next time. Yeah, I mean, I just thought I'd just very quickly just share. I went through the archives yesterday and found some of. We set up the Liverpool Property Club. Well, it wasn't just myself. It was when I was at Innovate with Sue Patterson. It was then at Sutcliffe's, if I'm right. Ollie Crook from Todd & Ledson, the guys who were bought out by RLB, and Pete Linford and Paul Buttery at the time, who was Noble's Construction. So, as you can see, we've come a long way with the marketing, because it's. I think that was something we knocked together on PowerPoint, and that got slightly better the year after. This was about 2012, and the initial reason for pulling this together was that a lot of us, as with the guys on the call today, work all across the UK. And I know I'm certainly looking at my screen now that we attend all different types of networking events, whether they be formal events, CPD events, and we just felt there wasn't a network to, if you like, just get together informally. So we formed the Liverpool Property Club, I think, about 2009, 2010. And the first event was held in Noble House, which wasn't around for too long. I think it's now the Alchemist. And things grew and it went really, really well. And I think the positives that we took from it is that it was informal, it was invite only, it was director led, and it was specifically construction focused. I think back in the day, we were quite a few of us cheesed off that we were just going to these general networking events and speaking to cake makers and web designers. So we formed the Liverpool Property Club, and it was less about the sponsors and more about who attended. And I think the positives again was we got a lot of guys coming over from Manchester for the event, which is quite different because we quite often go that way, the M62 to Manchester. So, and then it sort of, I think because of it got so successful, the numbers grew and grew, and it lost its credibility, it lost its focus, and it just became a real mix. You know, you were talking sort of 120, 130 plus. So it sort of fizzled out. So talking to Frank when we joined forces with Downtown 12 months ago now, we agreed to push forward and get the Liverpool Property Club back out there. So we tried, and we got stopped in March, and then we were just about to do another face-to-face and it got stopped. So we're talking about lots of different things for next year and different formats, but I think the key is it's focused, targeted networking, if you like, and I think the beauty of it is historically it's been a public and private sector mixture, both client side, local authority, designers, through every stage of construction. So I dug deep into the photograph archives and found some good photographs. There's two Liverpool legends on the photographs here. I spoke to Jen Mallon yesterday just to check it was okay to use the photos. So top right in the middle, you've got Frank Mallon. And bottom right, next to Paul Butter, you've got John Sutcliffe. And John was heavily involved in pushing the Liverpool Property Club forward when we first started. So we moved the Liverpool Property Club around quite a few venues, Noble House, Sakura, which we were for a couple of years, which is now the El Gato Negro. It used to be the Vincent. And I remember one year returning from holiday on the Wednesday and got a call from Stuart McCrone, who's now at Glenbrook, and said, I'm coming to your event on Friday, which is due to be at Sakura, but there's debt collectors outside putting corporation curtains on them at the minute, so you're going to need a new venue. So thankfully the Rackets stepped in, which was a great venue. We stayed at the Rackets for a couple of years, and then I think the last place the event was held was at Bean on St. Paul's Square. So just a bit of history there. I thought that would be worthwhile sharing. Even one of Barry Roberts there, top left. So yeah, that's where we're at. And that was just a bit of background from us. The last 9 months has just been about cracking on. Probably no different from anyone else. But I know we said we're going to stay positive. So just on the call today, who's with us around the table or online, we are just appointed by Studio RBA. So we're working with them guys now. I know Adam's on the call. We're working with Barry Wilson at Shape Engineering, at Shape Land and Property. And we're just about to start doing some work with Morgan Sindel. So lots of positives for us. And I say this time and time again, and I know Frank will have heard me say this, is for us, it's just been heads down and crack on. We've had to put the batten down the hatches, if you like. We've made some changes here. We took a larger office space. We virtually doubled the size of our office just so we could get everyone back for about middle of June. And as far as we're concerned, we're cracking on and we're pushing forward, which is, I think, one of the few things we took from Bojo is he told us to carry on in the under construction.
Alan, can I ask, how much has the surgery cost you from turning that person into the person you are today?
Thanks for that, Barry.
Oh, brilliant. So Al, could I just ask you to take your screen share off?
Oh yeah, sure.
So I can see everybody again on the screen then. That's great, thank you. And just let's not make that presentation in front of any of the hospitality companies, because both Noble House and Sakura, as you've mentioned, have both gone pop. So we 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 won't be telling that story when we're going out live events next year. But just before I leave you for now, Alan, can you just describe what the construction sites that you're working on look like at the moment? What's been the difference? What have been the challenges, and how you've been able to overcome them?
Max is going to take that.
Yeah, go on. I'll take that one, Frank. So I think we're starting to come full circle. I know Frank, we spoke in April, I think, and we had some contractors who took the risk of their view and just totally stopped. And we worked with a lot of contractors who were linked with you guys, Morgan Sindel, Crossfield, to keep construction going. But it was very much, people were worried, and a lot of subcontractors wouldn't come back because they were concerned. But what we are seeing now is that the industry are aware of what they've got to do. There's tried and tested methods of how to work safely. There's clear guidance there. We're not having to repeat ourselves constantly on what you have got to do. And
the uptake's been good. The uptake is, we're going to be positive on this call, is the buy-in from contractors that we've seen. And contractors at different levels, from tier ones down to small subcontractors have been fabulous, really good.
Yeah.
We've seen, from our point of view, it's where we've seen our retained clients increase our involvement, which is obviously good for us. So where we've lost jobs at, pre-construction, we've gained from construction. So, just a real desire to push on. We'll push on in the right way. I think that's the key point.
I think what we have seen is, we've seen contractors plan jobs differently. So you need more space, you need more welfare facilities, you need to load out the building differently. So it's gone full circle to where we're designing buildings differently to build them safely and in COVID secure environments. So yeah, it has changed. I mean, one big positive we see, all stages of construction. The big one for us is an F10 notification to the HSE to say a job starting on site. We have been inundated putting F10 notifications in for the 4th of January for all major projects. So that is a big red flag to us that says January is looking like it's going to be mental. Everyone seems to be sort of getting their heads down to Christmas and starting in January.
Thanks, Max. Thanks, Alan. So I'll go to Jess, because as I mentioned in my opening remarks, Jess works for Bruntwood across the country, involved in some really exciting projects. And I know that you're a glass half full type of gal, Jess. So tell us what your thoughts are at the moment, not just in terms of the involvement that you have in the projects that Bruntwood have got ongoing, but the overall picture, what you're sensing for 2021.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. So perhaps it would be worth, because I know that Colin and others on the call will talk a lot about some of the detailed projects in Liverpool, but I thought it was worth sort of stepping back a bit and talking about how I see cities coming back in 2021, and what some of those kind of positives that I've seen around the cities in 2020, because there have certainly been those as well. So I mean, clearly everything is different at the moment, and we kind of know that. We weren't expecting this year to hit us as we were. We will have all seen lots of stories about cities being dead, cities being over, the age of the city having gone, offices being over. That particularly worries a business like Bruntwood, where we make our money from selling office space. We've seen a kind of lot of sort of histrionics, I think, about those things. But I think what's really clear from history, as well as what we know about economics today, is that people and businesses need cities. They need the kind of density and life and vibrancy that you get from a city environment and from city life. There's a lot of work that's been done around agglomeration, this kind of idea that you cluster businesses together in a dense way. And what that does is drive additional productivity. So it drives productivity by 10, 15, 20% greater than you can get, depending on as the size of the city and the density grows, that grows very strongly. So productivity increases where you've got dense places, and cities provide that, and they provide places both for businesses to do better business because they've got more business opportunities, but also really interestingly for individuals, their skills are very much more significantly increased, and their earning capacity is increased if they work in cities. They can move around between jobs. There are more opportunities to learn. There are more opportunities to develop. And I think that kind of future of cities as places that innovate, develop, create culture, have vibrancy in them will continue. And I think the evidence would suggest, long-term historic trends would suggest that that's the case. But also you can see some of that happening very short term. So I think what was interesting when we all went into lockdown in March is the sort of sense of relief that you could actually work from home. You could work in new ways if you had to. You could get on a Zoom and you could keep your business going. But actually, as time went on, what you find is it's much more difficult to generate new ideas, to maintain the culture of your business, to keep moving forward and to keep developing. And I think that as we moved out of lockdown through the summer and into the autumn, people's views about coming back into the office shifted very markedly. And when they did, they really didn't want to go back to working 5 days a week at home. It was not, and that's been quite interesting within our own business and also within our customer base. We've got to a place where there's about 35% of people, of our customers coming into the building. That's about the footfall that we've got right now on a daily basis. We got up to about 60% before the most recent lockdown for our own colleagues. And what the overwhelming story that came through was that people like being together for the right things. Now, that's not to say we haven't thought about how we work most effectively, what environments we need, but that sense of connection and ability to create, if you come together, was really tangible. And I think there's one other thing I would say about the sort of giving up on the city is that I think that cities and offices in particular can be great levelers. This idea that working from home works for everyone is just not right. And working at home is not a comfortable place for many people. And we've all seen the stats around mental health, domestic violence, social mobility, the lack of mentoring for young people. These are all real negatives that you lose when you lose connection between people and the outside world. And I think the quicker we can get back to a sense of normality and coming together, the better. And I don't think that means people are going to work 5 days a week in the office. And I'm not sure that's, and I think that that's not been the case for quite a long time. Many people have been moving towards much more flexible ways of working. We'll see that continue. So I have a long-term optimism for the future of cities per se. And I think just thinking about what makes brilliant places, I think it is, and where cities are likely to shift, this is particularly pertinent to Liverpool, is the way that there's been an absolute focus on what you're good at and what we're good at. And if cities focus on the things where they can really make a difference and really act differently and create world-class opportunities, will be much more successful. And I think Liverpool is doing that brilliantly at the moment. We're going to hear some fantastic stuff from Colin at in a moment. But that sort of sense of leadership, having a clear vision about what it is you're going to do, and then delivering and working in partnership across public and private sector are the things that will set cities apart. And the work that Liverpool's done, particularly coming out the gates so early in the lockdown period about the recovery and thinking about recovery, has been tremendous and will set it on a good stead as we look ahead. That's not to say there aren't going to be very, very difficult days and very difficult times ahead, but actually that sort of leadership vision and desire to work in partnership is going to be the thing that sees us through.
That's great, Jess. Some real food for thought there. No doubt we'll pick up on some of your remarks in the conversation later. But talking of world class, Colin Sinclair is running an absolutely world class regeneration project, as you mentioned, Jess. Liverpool finding ways in which it can operate in the new world with, I think, a focus on the things that are going to be important globally moving forward. So, Colin, great to see you. And the Knowledge Quarter, as I said earlier, despite the challenges, continues to go from strength to strength. A big announcement around investment at the start of lockdown, but that just seems to have gathered pace and momentum, projects continuing, and lots of good news coming out from your part of the city.
It is really busy. I feel a bit under pressure now with words like fantastic and world class. And I should always start by saying, you know, we have a brilliant team, not just the people we work with in the universities, city council, combined authority, you know, the hospital trusts, our shareholders now, Bruntwood, Sciontech, but right from the beginning of this journey, 4.5, 5 years ago, you know, when we all sat there planning things like getting Liverpool back into MIPIN and trying to build a world-leading innovation district, we've had a really good team of people. So many of which don't get any credit or claim at all, and are way too shy to ever want to appear on a forum like this. But I think you are only as good as the team of people. And you know, Frank, you know a lot of the team. You're in and out of our office, and we do have some really brilliant people. And I think Jessica made some brilliant points, and one of them is that people work best when they are with people. Yeah. And I did post something on Twitter quite early on about how innovation happens best in the workplace, and a lot of people tweeted back to say, "Oh no, I know I'm going to work from home now forever, and I can innovate on my own. Thank you very much." Try not to picture that too much, but they, you know, you need. I think people do work best with people. You know, that's humanity, isn't it? That's what we're all about. And you know, I'm at home today, but I am in the Science Park 3 or 4 days a week, and we've got Hope Street right next to us. You know, we work in a beautiful part of Liverpool. People who don't come to Liverpool probably don't know that you know, Liverpool isn't just the stunning waterfront, but that whole area in the Knowledge Quarter is absolutely amazing. So you're in a brilliant creative working environment, and if your workspace is as creative as when you step outside the door, it makes such a huge difference. So we've been really busy. We're really busy with the Knowledge Quarter, with the strategic part, but probably even, you know, at least as busy now with Sciontech, the development company, the spin out from the Knowledge Quarter. And I think we've just got to realize that it's a tough time for business, but we also have lots of businesses that are growing rapidly. And for the first time in its 15 years next year, it's 15-year history, Liverpool Science Park is pretty much 100% occupied, and the labs are completely full. I don't think the labs have ever been full. So we've got lab inquiries now that we just can't accommodate. And it is, you know, I spent a large part of my working life working with hospitality and the nighttime economy and music and events. And I know how tough that is. And you just have to follow Sasha Lord on Twitter, you know, and it makes you want to cry how tough it all is. And, you know, good friends like Paul Askew, you know, continue to battle it. It's tough in hospitality, but in a lot of health, tech and life sciences, it's going really well. And buildings are full. I was talking to Kath at Alderley Park this morning, and I think our experience in Liverpool very much mirrors what you would see in Manchester Corridor and at Alderley Park. And so we need to prioritize that, and we need to create jobs. Our task now is to safeguard what we can in the visitor economy and hospitality and tourism and in leisure, but to create jobs in health, life sciences and tech, and put Liverpool at the front of every list, bid for everything that moves, bid where we're world class. And, you know, one thing I learned in my time with Inward Investment is that, you know, growing your indigenous businesses, the companies you've already got is always an obvious thing to do. But you need inward investment. It brings in new practices, new innovations, and it brings in, most importantly, it creates new jobs. And to get inward investment, your buildings have to be ready. And one of the problems we've had in Liverpool is we haven't had any buildings. And until Barry and his team, and Barry, Sue and everybody got cracking on the spine, there was nothing new for 10, 15 years. So, you know, we've got to get the story out there. There are 6 floors left to fill at the spine. I think Morgan Sindall will sign off on it this month, I think. The RCP fit out will be finished by around about February. The building will be open by probably, I think, March, April. And there are 6 floors to fill. So if you know innovative businesses, let's get them into the spine, and let's get started on the next one. And you might have noticed we launched a couple of buildings at Mippin, and you've probably not heard much about them since, but one of our buildings, number 5 Paddington Village, has now got a name. It's called Hemisphere. It's about the 2 sides of the human brain, the creative and the academic, bringing geniuses like Professor Ian Buchan and Louise Kenny and Amanda Lamb together with businesses. And Liverpool is in a great place in terms of the mass testing, and we are leaders in integrated health data. So I think Hemisphere puts us in a really good place to continue to grow that link between health and tech, digital health, digital technology, the digitalization of everything that we all do in the future, and robotics and AI. So I think Hemisphere is going to be really important, and it's a shovel-ready scheme. We're hoping to get started on that pretty much straight away. And at the pace that Morgan Sindall work, we'll have that done within 2 years. You know, I think that will, after the spine comes Hemisphere, and after Hemisphere, or maybe at the same time, will come a lot more development linking the whole Knowledge Quarter around Upper Central, Copper's Hill, Paddington Village. So I think there's lots to go at. I did want to try and show you one picture today, if I can master the technology. Let me see if I got it here. This one. Can you see that picture on the screen there? Yeah. I mentioned Liverpool Science Park. If I put my cursor here, I don't know you can whether it works for that, but so on that's my office there, that little window. And I'm really, really excited. If you do manage to get into Liverpool when lockdown ends, or, you know, to come and see us and have a cup of coffee with us at our little coffee shop there, you'll see that scheme happening. It's absolutely amazing. Thanks to the investment of Bruntwood Sciontech and the work that they do with Legal and General, we've put in a lot of money into these buildings in Liverpool. And we're actually spending £1 million within the next few months on Liverpool Science Park. You know, just because the building's full, it doesn't mean we can't grow it, we can't add more space, we can't bring more people in. And this is the new entrance which faces the Everyman and Hope Street. So you don't have to go around the car park anymore, where I often bump into Barry in the morning as we both stagger in, you know, and try to find our keys in the dark in the early hours. But you will be able to come into Liverpool Science Park now through that stunning new entrance. And Colin Forshaw, Sean Ferrari and the team at Bruntwood, who work as part of Sciontech now, have done a great job on that. And, you know, I think that what we're doing with that building in terms of doing exactly what Jessica talked about, making space where you really want to go to work. It's dead exciting to be in work. You're with your mates, you're with your colleagues. Brilliant vision by K2, the architects as well there. These are the buildings of the future. And I'm going to sign off at that, but you know, I'm excited about it all. You know, you can take the pandemic 2 ways. You can, you know, have a slag everybody off on Twitter, or you can think, oh, this is it. This is the future. Let's go on and find a way of creating jobs and making a success. And I'm in that latter camp. Thank you. That's it from me. I'll stop sharing.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks. Rachel Patterson done a great job there teaching her how to use your screen share properly. So hats off to her. And Barry, Colin's give you an honourable mention there in terms of the work that Morgan Sindall have been involved in. And of course, it is a really exciting development, as Colin has said. Tell us about your experience in the Knowledge Quarter and perhaps other projects that Morgan Sindel are involved in as well, so that, as I say, we can continue this optimistic view of how life is going to start to develop in 2021. Oh, if you take yourself off mute, Barry, it's probably going to be better for us.
Well, there'll be a joint opinion on that, Frank. But I might be better off staying on mute for a while. But yeah, absolutely. You know, we're absolutely delighted to be doing the stuff that we're doing on the Knowledge Quarter with Colin's vision and you know, that great leadership that is happening down there. A little bit of history, really. I'm going to steal a little page from Alan's book. I haven't got any dodgy pictures of myself like Alan did, but I don't know, probably 10 years ago now, I took a team of Morgan Sindel investment people to see Liverpool City Council. The Knowledge Quarter site then was obviously the demise of the old school site, and looking at people who are interested in what is going to happen next there. And we actually drew up, I don't know whether I've ever told you this, Col, but I'll tell you now. So we actually drew up a bit of a vision of what we thought it might look like. It did include a car park and a hotel and some retail and mixed use kind of stuff. Obviously, it never went anywhere because we didn't do it, but it was just an idea at the time. But then what happened, with Colin's help and with real bravery and vision, I think, was to kind of brand it in that Knowledge Quarter, research, development, sciences, technology, and all that kind of stuff, which I think really helped drive it on. And then with the bravery of the investment of the council, you can see what you can see today. It was just a barren, flat site full of Williamson tunnels and really complex kind of service diversions and everything else that we've kind of, nobody sees all that, do they? That kind of preparation work that gets done to make a project of this size come to fruition. So the real kind of vision of bravery there, I think. And there's loads more happening, Colin, isn't there? We all know about the spine, the hotel's well progressed, the energy centre and the car parks, obviously, Kaplan's now finished. The cancer centre is now done. There's bits you can't see, like the Undercroft car park, which will really help service the whole plot. But the other plots, there's real interest in them as well. And I think that's an absolute testament to the leadership and vision from the guys involved, especially Colin and his team and the City Council. And we're just made up to be involved, really. Some of them buildings are really going to brand the city, I think. I like Jessica's speech about that workplace thing and people. Of course, it is all about that. We've got an office as well in the Science Park, and my main office is in Salford Quays. And it's really interesting. Before COVID, it was a busy, vibrant environment where people were spending money and interacting with people. And Salford Quays is bloody dead now. I go there, my office is quite quiet. We've encouraged people to kind of work from home as much as they can. But the rest of Media City, it's really, really quiet. Now, that's not going to create a vibrant, buzzing business environment, is it? So I think we've all got a part to play in kind of getting people back to work. And interestingly enough, and this is something that, again, you probably won't have seen yet, the design of the Knowledge Quarter with its beautiful external spaces and link into the city and a lovely view down that kind of university sector. It's going to be a brilliant place just to hang out for the people who work in all the great buildings that we're putting up. And we'll hopefully then spin off with other innovation and ideas and investment into the city as well. So, getting that right, getting the quality of them external spaces is really, really important. And I hope that you'll all see that as it nears completion over the next year or so. And I think that's important. And then just the other thing that obviously is really important is localism and people, and making sure that all of this changes people's lives as much as we possibly can, not just in the construction sector, but in research and development and sciences and technology, and providing long-lasting employment for folk and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure Sue's going to talk a little bit later about Kickstart knowledge quad idea that we've been implementing down there, which have been brilliant, I think, in terms of, you know, linking the whole development up with the local community and making them feel kind of involved. Bit of a ramble there, Frank. Is that kind of what you wanted?
No, that was great, Barry. You know, as I say, keeping the upbeat messages coming, and I think, you know, if you've not been to the Hope Street area recently, and some of you might not have been because of lockdown, it has already been transformed, and I know that the plans moving forward, as Barry said, is just going to make that area look even better. It's a beautiful part of the city anyway, but some of those projects that are now happening, absolutely fantastic, and I'm looking forward to come and seeing the spine within the next few weeks. So that's great news as well. Talking of exciting developments, Tom Higgins from Lango Rourke is involved in two major schemes in the city. One, of course, the hospital, which Lango Rourke's inherited from that fabulous company Carillion, and then we hope in the not too distant future we can really start to motor with the new stadium development of Bramley Moor home, or new home as it will be, to Everton Football Club. Tom, great to be with you again today. Thanks for coming along and joining us. Tell us where we're up to with those particular projects, mate.
So no self-interest at all in Everton, Frank, no? I think before we do that, it's probably worth a couple of minutes on Lango Rourke and people who think they know us and maybe don't know us. We are the largest privately owned contractor in the UK. We are different in that we are right at the forefront of the modern methods of construction. So we own our own factories, and we actually self-deliver up to 60% of projects ourselves with directly employed operatives. So we deal with a whole host of issues across the spectrum, from self-employment, directly employing people, manufacturing, and the issues around construction itself. We do everything digitally, so digital is huge in what we do. The last thing we build things twice, once in the digital world and once for real. And there's a real link between construction and the stuff that Colin talked about earlier, in that science has a huge part to play with construction and how we deal with new materials and how we deliver things differently than we were 30, 40, 50 years ago. So it's really interesting to hear how the Knowledge Quarter is going on. In Liverpool last year, in the last 7 years, we delivered a number of major projects. Our average size project nationally is about 150 million. So we deal with the major projects. So we delivered Liverpool 1, Alder Hay Hospital. Very recently finished Clatterbridge Cancer Care Centre, which is a fantastic facility. And we, as you said, we're working on the Liverpool University Hospital following the unfortunate demise of Carillion. I mean, all those are world-class schemes and benefit the city of Liverpool. And I say the unfortunate demise of Carillion because I think it is unfortunate. Love them or loathe them, that they're a major part of the construction industry, and no one likes to see when competitors fall away in the fashion that Carillion did, with the aftermath that it causes for the industry. And the aftermath has been huge, as I'm sure Barry and Stu can agree with as well. And the things we've got to do with regard to funders and insurers and everything else that goes along beside it has been absolutely huge. And also the impact on people who lost their livelihoods, people who lost money, all of that has to be dealt with. But the Royal Liverpool is coming on well now. We'll hand over 50% hospital in the next couple of months, with the remainder of that still probably back end of next year. So from where it was, they're in a good place now. We've got to grips with it, understand what issues are. We have to go back to bare brickwork in a lot of places. There are a number of structural issues that I'm sure everyone's aware, and things weren't quite in place. They were, people were told that they were when we took over. So we had an awful lot of work to do, and we've got to grips with it. We know what we're doing, and we're not very near term. We delivered a number of awards early as part of the response to the pandemic back in April, May time. So we delivered some awards early for the COVID awards to enable the National Health Service to have use of our facilities. So this game is moving, and it is moving along, which is great news for Liverpool, because that will be a fantastic facility once it's finished. and it's long overdue. And sits right beside the Clatterbridge Cancer Care Centre, and the two eventually be physically linked together with a bridge. So the care facility that will provide for Merseyside and the North West will be unsurpassed in my view. So I know what they've got in there, all the small services. They're touching on a little scheme down the road where they play football.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just struggling a little to hear. I'm not sure whether it's me or whether it might just be me. Is everybody else hearing Tom okay? Yeah, could you just... Yeah, it's not like you, Tom, to be...
No, it's not. No, it's not usually me being quiet. Is that a bit better?
Yeah.
I'll shout at the screen.
Thank you.
I'm pretending with the kids. So I finished up on Clatterbridge and Royal Liverpool, and the two schemes are physically linked, and they'll provide unsurpassed healthcare facilities to Liverpool, Merseyside, and the broad North West. Within the very near future, which is fantastic. Then move down the road to Everton, where we've been involved for probably over 12 months now. That scheme is going to planning in December, and we are hopeful, dare stay confident that will get a good hearing from the City Council. And that will be a fantastic scheme, not only because it'll be a world-class football stadium, but we've talked broader than that. What it will do, it will regenerate the whole of the north side of Liverpool. And for me, that's the key issue. It's great to deliver a stadium, of course it is, and I've delivered a number of stadia across the UK over the years, and they're always great jobs to work on, great jobs to deliver. But the important thing is, what's the legacy? What does it drive? And it will drive the total regeneration of the whole of that part of Liverpool. And for me, that's why the planners should be given the tick in the box, not just because it's a new football stadium. And what it will do, it will drive opportunities for businesses, it will drive opportunities for local people with regard to upskilling, jobs, training. It will drive interest in the construction industry, which is struggling, as I'm sure Stu and Barry will agree with, in that a lot of schools, when kids go to their careers offices and say, I want to look at what I want to do when I leave school, they never even mention construction. It's not mentioned, which is an absolute disgrace in my view, because it's a fantastic career. And it's not what it was 40, 50 years ago. Some of the opportunities now, with digitalization, the kids, it's like gaming, on the screens, and the job opportunities, career opportunities we can offer as an industry are unsurpassed in my view. So all of that flows from delivering high-profile, world-class schemes such as Everton, and that really must be at the forefront of the City Council when they're making decisions with regard to planning. I'm not biased in any way, shape, or form.
Tom, that's great. Thanks very much. And as you've mentioned, there are three really great schemes that Lango Rourke are hoping to deliver in terms of the Everton Stadium. And like you, I share your confidence. I think the City Council recognise the importance of that project, not just in terms of creating a new home for Everton, but for the catalyst that will act for many other things that are happening down there. And then you mentioned towards the end of your remarks, young people in construction, which is a great segue to Sue Patterson from Morgan Sindall. I mentioned earlier, Sue's involved in looking at some of the strategic issues around skills and training in the Liverpool City region, but was also engaged with the Kickstart programme. Welcome, Sue. Good afternoon to you. And just tell us a little bit about what you see as the role of construction, the wider property community, perhaps, in terms of enabling our younger people, but also, let's face it, there's going to be older people now looking for new roles, new careers as well, and how we might be able to support those initiatives.
Yeah, it's so if I start with if we look ahead and look at the brilliant job that has been done on the economy recovery, it's all around focused on a people recovery as well as a green recovery. I think one of the key things we need to look at in the future for that is that the pipeline of talent and skills needs to be fit for that purpose. So not only do we need to look at the skills gaps we've got now, but we need to be looking 5 years ahead and from there as well at what is going to be needed. And rightly so, you mentioned transferable skills. We've got a lot of people who are coming out of work now from other sectors, and what skills we can quickly transfer into the built environment. You mentioned earlier I'm on a few committees. There's not as many as you said, otherwise Barry will wonder what he's paying me for. But I do work for Morgan Sindel as well. I'm on the MIPIM steering group, which our leaders on here, Stephen, and I'm also lucky enough to be on the newly formed LEP Built Environment Sub-Board. And because the built environment is such a huge agenda, we've split that board down now into 4 pillars, and I'm going to be heading up the skills pillar. Now we're at a very early stage of developing that and what that looks like, but it will be covering things like young people skills, diversity and inclusive growth, apprenticeships, job development. But the one thing we found straight away is how much the pillars cross over with each other. So for example, the economy pillar is vital for the skills agenda to work. So if you look at, I think it was in the economy recovery plan, it mentions we've got £8 billion worth of, projects that could start if we had the right investment, and that generates 94,000 employment opportunities, as well as a further 26,000 construction employment opportunities. So the investments side is really important moving forward. You mentioned Kickstart as well. So Kickstart's one of these great initiatives that they throw out, but they throw it out and then realise how big an initiative it is. I think at the moment it is delayed a little bit, but that's because they're focusing on the big companies like Marks and Spencer's and the likes. And then we'll start, hopefully not soon. It was supposed to be November. I think that's been put back a bit. But yeah, Barry mentioned the Knowledge Quad on Paddington Village, which has been a brilliant initiative and shows how important the built environment is in it's bridging that gap between industry and education. So through the work that Jill's been doing with the colleges and with the universities, we've been able to help them tailor their courses to suit the needs required for the types of build. And what a better place to do that than on a site where you've got a total mix of different type of construction going on, that they can, get real hands-on experience. And it's not just the technical experience that they pick up, it's the soft skills in terms of their confidence. Going and just walking on site and going and being in a canteen with other people, just gets them ready. So when they're coming off their course, they're work ready. So that's really important as well. Sorry, I've babbled on there. I can go on forever,
That was great, and it is a very broad agenda, the whole skills education training piece. So I know, Sue, that you've been interested and engaged with that for a long time now, so it's great to see you playing a leadership role in the city region around that. And listen, for businesses who are on here who perhaps are able to help a young person through that Kickstart scheme, there's no financial cost to you. It's a resource cost, because obviously we want good training, good management in place for these young people up to 24 years of age. Any vacancies that you may have, or any gaps in your service that you think could be filled by a young person, please let me know, because we're working with the City of Liverpool College to deliver Kickstart through their programme. And, as I say, tremendous chance to give back a little bit and give young people in Liverpool an opportunity. So listen, we've had some great contributions there. All, I'm sure you'd agree with me, more positive and optimistic than negative. Not ignoring the challenges ahead, but certainly explaining why we've some reason to look forward to a much better 2021 and beyond. So anybody want to comment on what any of the speakers have said today? And if you don't put your hand up or take off your mute button, I'll just pick on you. So Stephen Cowperthwaite, who's been name checked as the chair of the Liverpool City Region MIPIM delegation. And Stephen, I know Everson Younger are doing an awful lot of work at this moment in time in terms of just working out how you can start getting your teams back into the office, for example, and just picking up perhaps Jessica's remarks about what the world of work might look like moving forward, and whether you agree with her that cities are certainly not dead, they're just having a rest at the moment.
100%. You know, if everybody was to move out of cities in the scale that people are talking about, then we'll just have cities in the countryside, won't we? So that's the reality of the situation. So no, I mean, I think 100% agree with Jess, and really what we've seen in terms of, yes, you know, businesses, corporations are looking at you know, their portfolios and taking a strategic look, and yes, they will downsize requirements, and we've seen that, you know, in Liverpool, you know, as well, in terms of some of the requirements that have been kicking around. But I think quality is going to be important moving forward, and that's where, you know, Paddington Village, the Spine, it's the whole environment. It's not just the building itself, and that's where, you know, that's what we have to accentuate, is those positives in Liverpool. You know, add the culture into the mix as well. They're attractive places for people to come and work, as well as to live and to play. So yeah, so I think I definitely share as well the you know, the positivity. We did a MIPIM webinar a couple of days ago. That Colin was on that one with Steve Rotherham. We had Jen Lee from KPMG, and you know, it was a fantastic event. We had Claire McColgan as well, talking about the cultural side of things, and there's a huge positivity. And if you look at the innovation, the collaboration, the leadership, the culture that we've got in the city and the region, then I think we're in a really strong place coming out into recovery to sell the assets and the strengths that we've got here. So yeah, I think this type of event is really good. And if you're not a member of the MIPIM partnership, then please have a word with me and join up.
Thanks, Stephen. We don't mind giving you a free plug. Alan from the European Space Agency. Good to see you, Alan.
It's good to be on, Frank. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Yeah, just to kind of reiterate what Stephen said there about cities. You know, cities are part of human nature. We used to think that cities evolved after agriculture, but Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the first city ever, predates agriculture. We started growing agriculture to feed everyone who moved into the city, so they're always going to be here in some form or another. But just like to slightly hijack, it was announced yesterday that there's going to be a Northwest space strategy compiled over the next few months. So it'd be interesting for the likes of Colin and all that, if we could, and Frank, if we could pick up on that with you guys. But for the construction and the property industry as users of space data, which you might not be aware you're doing, you know, using GPS signaling to identify, you know, routing options for your construction, and looking at ground subsidence and IoT solutions and communications and all these things. So there's quite a lot going on at the moment. So over the next few months, STFC and the European Space Agency and the UK Space Agency are going to be quite actively trying to engage with you to discuss these things and find out where everything sits with everyone.
Okay. Thanks, Alan. And I can say, because Alan's had a number of conversations with people in the construction sector, just having a conversation at the moment actually with Everton over their new stadium, well worth having a chat to see what collaboration can take place with the space agency. It's not all about putting men on the moon, as he will quickly explain to you. So anyone else wanting to have a word at the moment? I'm going to ask Barry to come into the conversation, because I'm aware that we've had a big announcement on the green agenda from the Prime Minister yesterday, and I'm conscious, Barry, that you've been working around the area of modular housing, but also just wanted to get a take on you know, how Shape Engineering have been operating during the past 9 months or so, because you seem to be as busy as ever.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Yeah, I mean the modular side obviously is something that's been going on for a while, and it was nice to hear Tom touch on that before, and you know, modern methods of construction. So you know, the recent announcements is good for us across the board. I mean, we're pushing a lot of housing developments now. We've got a hotel scheme, Southend-on-Sea, and another a hotel down south as well. So you know, there's a lot going on the modular stuff. I think we've done a couple of small developments in and around Liverpool, which the council were involved in, and we're hoping to use them as a little bit of a case study going forward to show what, you know, we've banged on about how good the units are in terms of you know, whole life cycle costs, and then you know, it's about proofs in the pudding, I suppose. So we're going to use them as a case study, so proofs in the pudding, and show they are as good as we've said they are, I suppose. In terms of the engineering side, I mean, we've stayed busy throughout. We were very lucky at the start of the lockdown. We had a very strong pipeline of work, some quite large schemes coming through, which are all sort of getting onto site now. So again, we were quite lucky in the schemes we had; none of them really stalled. And over the past few months, we've done what a lot of companies have done. We've had people work from home. Slowly, they've come back into the office. But we're going to maintain a very flexible working environment. So a lot of them are coming into work a couple of days a week, working from home other days. So yeah, it's remained busy. We've noticed the past probably 2 months, fee proposals and things have gone up. A lot of things that may have been on the back burner are really getting going again. So it's not been as bad for us as many others. So we've been lucky enough to remain busy. We've even taken on a few extra staff and things. So a couple of junior members of staff and a couple of senior members to accommodate the workload that's still coming in. So yeah, we've been lucky, really, you know, and I'm thankful for that.
Thanks, Frank. Lisa, just lean to your right a bit, because I couldn't see you then. Hiya. Nice to see you. Right, Mr. Keys wants a word from Sutcliffe. Hi, Sean.
Am I in? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just following up on a couple of the comments there. There's something that I was reading this week. I can't believe I actually read this. The ONS published the construction output, and what it actually said is that we're 7% below where we were in February as an average. So one thing, this is a property club. The construction industry is the backbone of, well, certainly our region and what we do. But it dropped from sort of 100%, and then in April and March, 40 to 60%, depending on your sector. But as an average, we're 7% off where we were in February. So our industry is massively important, and we should be really positive about what we're doing out there. So our sector is definitely working. I put something on LinkedIn this week about, I'm in the office at the moment for collaboration reasons, but I walked down to the city centre, really quiet. But there's loads of people, like all the people on this call today, who are incredibly busy ensuring that building projects and construction projects are going on site. So we probably need to be really positive about the future.
Thanks, Sean, on that note. And we are at the anointed hour. Look at that. What a fantastic chairman you've got. It's 1 o'clock and we've finished. Sorry if you wanted to have a word and you've not had chance, but there'll be plenty more opportunities in 2021, hopefully face to face. A couple of quick points. I used the phrase earlier, cities are not dead, just having a rest. And I think Jess has hit the nail on the head as to all the reasons why that's the case. If you look in the Sunday Times this weekend, you'll see a very exciting initiative that is happening in Manchester that we're delighted Downtown in Business have been involved in. Apologies to Liverpool supporters. Gary Neville is one of the key personalities involved in that, but I tell you, despite your differences with him on the pitch, he's certainly on the same page as us in terms of getting cities and the economy moving forward. Sure, he's had a lot of interesting things to say to the Times. Second thing I'd say is the issue that hasn't really been talked about today in any detail, but it is that devolution. Barry mentioned localism, and I think what has been proved, despite the Prime Minister's comments earlier this week that devolution has been a disaster, it's not been a disaster when it's been asked to deliver stuff. And so you look at the test and trace system in Liverpool, you look at the sort of things that have been happening in places like Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, where local authorities, local government and combined authorities and mayors have been able to take a lead, then actually you've seen a very efficient and effective delivery mechanism. And so in 2021, we'll certainly as an organisation be pushing for more devolution, more devolved powers, because actually at a local level, that's where you're going to get a better bang for your buck. And the economic recovery plan that Liverpool City Region has put together, and the cities in particular, I have to say, is really exciting and will give the government a huge return on investment. It will be a positive thing for UK PLC, not simply for the city of Liverpool. And the final point on the discussion, again, feeding into Sue's remarks, it is important that it's an inclusive growth agenda moving forward. If we've learned anything from the past 5 years, never mind the last 9 months, it's that there's still big swathes of our community, particularly in cities, sadly, who have been excluded from growth, and we need to find ways in which we can change that round dramatically. As I say, Kickstart is a small contribution you can make, so if you're interested in getting involved in that, please let me know. And just a couple of plugs for downtown. Liverpool Awards, we are still going to go ahead on the 10th of December. There's a live event at the arena. I'm currently in discussions with the people that need to be had discussions with. And we can't fit 350 people into a £10,000 arena safely, whilst you've got test and trace on site, temperature taken and all that good stuff, then we are really knackered. And the second thing I'll just tell people on this call, we are organising our first national property conference at the Belfry in Birmingham next year, September. I think it's either the 9th or the 11th, whichever of those dates are a Thursday. We got some fantastic speakers lined up. Can't reveal too much at the moment, but it is going to be a great day with a dinner to follow. So if you're into your golf, then it's definitely worth doing. But even if you just want some spa treatment, a couple of days of relaxation, more importantly, some fantastic connections with 250 decision makers from across the country, then book your ticket and book it quickly because they're selling fast. It's been great to see you today. Thanks for Project 4's sponsorship of the Liverpool Property Club. And as I say, let's hope we can do this early in the new year live. And thanks for all our contributors today as well. Alan, Jess, Max, Barry, Sue. Sorry if I've missed anyone out there. Who else spoke earlier? There was somebody else. Tom Higgins. How could I forget you, Tom, talking about the most important thing ever. Right, guys, see you all soon. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
See you.